Hello, babies.
Start off a little Celtics here. Raymond Robert Williams and his knee. He had surgery. This is Wednesday recording. He had surgery Tuesday night, I think.
Yeah.
The Celtics and Adrian Wojnarowski also reported this. The timetable to return for Robert Williams, one Timelord, is 4 to 6 weeks. I ask you, do you believe that? If you do or don't, when will he be back, and what will he look like?
I don't believe the timetable is correct. I don't believe we'll see him the rest of the season. I think no matter how far we proceed in the playoffs, he's going to be out. And what was the last question? What will he look like if he did come back?
Let's stop there because I disagree with you. I don't think that they would put that pressure on a young player like that if they did not expect him to try and come back. I expect him to see the court. The reason why I asked what will he look like, because I kind of lean towards your way where I don't know if he's going to be the same player and he might just end up not, playing big minutes or re-injuring himself. Although it is surgery, and when guys come back from so there were two surgeries. There was the smaller one, which is what he opted to have based on the results that we have, that would have brought him back in 4 to 6 weeks, which tells us that they thought that the tear was small enough where they could go in and remove a piece and they would be okay. Where the larger surgery would be if it was a full tear or a large tear, where they couldn't just remove it, because then that creates friction against the knee and the bone-on-bone shit like Julian Edelman had, which is career-ending and creates chronic knee problems like Kemba Walker had.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to imagine, if you're dealing with something that serious and that long of repercussions for a player like this who relies on his athleticism, that they wouldn't have made a rash decision to bring him back if it wasn't a small tear, if it wasn't a small injury. That's what I'm going on. Of course, maybe they could have made a rash decision, but logic tells me they didn't. Logic tells me it was a small tear. It was a minor surgery, and they set the timetable at 4 to 6 weeks because that's what the injury calls for. So if that's the case, I expect them to try and get him back on the floor. If not, they just would have said he would have been out the rest of the season.
I don't know. He's not going to be conditioned. You're out 4 to 6 weeks. Obviously, you're going to be laying low. You're not going to be out there being exercising or anything like that. So, 4 to 6 weeks there. Then you got to get your conditioned back. And the minutes that he's been playing this year, it's not like he's been, low in the league. I mean, we have an 8-man rotation, so he's in there constantly every quarter. So I feel like you can't rush this back. If he's going to be a piece of this puzzle for years to come, I wouldn't want to rush him back. I would say take your time. If you can't make the playoff run, then don't stay out. Get healthy.
Okay, so this is where I absolutely disagree with you for two reasons. Number one, I just laid it out. If they're making the decision to have the smaller surgery to push for a championship this year and sacrifice his long career, hey, tough call. I'll root for you. I hope it happens. I hope you can contribute. But if he had a large tear and it was a big injury and they still opted to go for this surgery and they sacrificed his future, then that's a big risk and a jeopardy. And it's not something most common day professional athletes are going to do, which is, I don't think that's what happened. And even if they did, then I absolutely expect him back, and I absolutely expect them to push it to the limit, and they should try and win a championship. But in terms of, like, if he had a small tear and they still wanted to go with the lengthy surgery to keep him fresh for the next 3 years, fuck that. Fuck that. I'm against that all the time. I call it the Steven Strasburg method. I moved down here in DC. I've told you the story multiple times. Steven Strasburg had come up, was a sensation, got some tightness in his elbow. They shut him down for the playoffs thinking that they were going to be the hottest shit for years to come. Took him 7 years to get back, and a miracle to win a World Series, spending a ton of money on that team. So, no, if you have a chance, you should go for it. And I think that's what they're doing, which is also why I think we'll see Robert Williams back. I think we'll see him back. I don't know if you'll see him.
He's at 70%, though. What if he's 70%? Would you want him back?
Yeah.
Or is that rushing it?
No. So my next question is 70% of Robert. I don't care about the future injury. I don't care, because I want him traded. I want him traded this offseason, to be honest with you, because he's going to continue to get injured, because he's been injured his entire fucking
That's what I was going to say. That's what I was going to say. That's why I don't think this 4 to 6 weeks is going to be on his level.
So, okay.
He's very injury prone. He hasn't played a full season ever in his career.
Back
I mean,
to
I
the
know it's only 2
original
years.
time frame. The 4 to 6 weeks puts them at 4 weeks at the end of round 1, 6 weeks somewhere in the middle of round 2. I expect them I don't expect them to see that. I would put it at 7 or 8, right? Because of what you said, because of the
absolutely.
player, which puts them in the Eastern Conference Finals, which they probably have the potential to do that even without Robert Williams, depending on the seeding. Back to your opening take. I agree that you shouldn't fuck around with winning. However, I think that Al Horford is a guy that should rest as much as possible down the stretch. I think Jaylen Brown has a knee thing that if you can decrease his minutes, that helps you. Same with Tatum, just to be fresh for the playoffs. So if you can take those guys from 30 to 34 minutes a night and play them 20 to 20, 24 to 28, and that means that you lose 2 or 3 games in the process, and that means you get the 3 seed or the 4 seed where you might have got the 1 or 2 seed. That's what I would say you're manipulating the seeding. Like, I don't want them to go tank. I don't expect them to pull a Toronto and not throw any of their starters out there for the rest of the year.
But
No,
that's
no,
what
no,
it
no,
sounds
no.
like. That's what the media's up here saying is
No,
that
no, 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 no. You have to
even call it
manipulate.
like green teamers. It's stupid.
You have to manipulate it in what I just said. You have to limit the minutes for those 4 guys and Marcus Smart if you want to play that game. And for your starter, limit the minutes for those starters. And if that equates to losses, like against the Heat tonight, so be it. Because you're not going to fall below 4. Eat the fucking cookie, right? You're not going to fall below 4. You're going to have home court at least in round 1, and that's a favorable matchup. You should win that, and then you're looking at Philly or Milwaukee in round 2. Hopefully, you get Philly because Milwaukee's a juggernaut, and Philly's fucking trash in my opinion. You just have to get through Embiid, and you could probably do that without Robert Williams. I don't know if you get past the Bucks without Robert Williams, and I would not fault them if they didn't. You just hope for a favorable matchup in the second round. So that's what I mean by manipulating the seeding. Just limit those guys' minutes, and if that means you lose, then that means you lose.
But the people here, like you'll hear them call into like 95 EI, all those stations, and they're basically saying you got to tank games so we can get Toronto, which I don't even think that's a favorable matchup because they did a report today out of the 4 top Eastern Conference teams. Milwaukee and I believe Miami, they're all vaccinated. And then they asked Philly and Boston, and they said no comment, meaning there's some players on Boston that aren't vaccinated. And if you're not vaccinated, you're not playing in Toronto. So I don't even think Toronto would be a great matchup.
I don't think Al Horford's vaccinated. I think that's why he got the personal day.
I don't think Jaylen Brown is either. He hasn't played in Toronto yet this year either.
Maybe not. Yeah, it would be interesting to see how that shook out. And it would be a big story one way or another. I would expect them to kind of pull the trigger and get the shot if that was the case. But either way, we don't do politics on the show. That they should win against Toronto. They should win against Cleveland. They should win against Chicago. They're better than them with or without Robert Williams. You start talking to me about the Bucks, that's a different story. I give the Bucks the edge there pretty handily.
I think the Bucks is the only one that I would give the edge over any team that they would play in the second round.
Without Robert Williams.
I think they can beat Miami without Robert Williams. I think they can beat Philly without Robert Williams.
I think they can. I just I don't think they can beat the Bucks. I think they can beat everybody else.
Exactly.
If they lost to Philly, if they lost to Miami in that second round without Robert Williams, depending on how it looked, if it went 6-7 games and it was competitive, and you noticed the difference in Robert Williams, then okay, I guess it sucks to have the injury. But how about Tice? How much?
What did I say to you when we traded for him?
I don't remember.
They reminded me of the 2003 Detroit Pistons.
Remember
Jesus
I said
how
Christ,
they're built
right. Oh, fucking Christ. Bill would have remembered. Bill would have remembered. He almost shot you.
No, I don't think it's that, but I think he can
How much of Robert Williams is Daniel Tice? And I'll give you what Daniel Tice does that Robert Williams does. He has a little bit of a lob effect. He's a good passer. And he has some ability around the rim as a rim protector. Those are the 3 things he has in common. He's a much better perimeter shooter than Robert Williams. Robert Williams doesn't shoot. And he can handle the ball a little bit. He's a better pick and roll player than Robert Williams, up top, pick and pop player. So he's got some attributes that are a little bit better than Robert Williams. But in those 3 categories, defending the rim, lob threat, and what else did I say? Offensive rebounding. I forget what else I said.
Passer.
He's a good passer too. But those are the 3: offensive rebound, lob threat, and defending the rim. like what percentage of Rob Williams is Daniel Tice?
What you mean Daniel Tice is like probably 25% of Robert Williams.
25?
I don't do numbers well.
25. Holy shit.
The only reason why I
That's
say that is because
scrub. I'm 25% of Rob. You're
Robert
25% of
Robert Williams is gelling well with the starting five. I think Tice is a more secondary player.
Played 3 years with these guys.
Yeah, but
they went to an Eastern Conference Finals with Tice as a starting center.
Yeah,
look, I'm not look. I thought that trade Dennis Schrader for Tice was a good trade. I think Brad Stevens has made a team where you're seeing it now, where a guy like Robert Williams goes down and you have his replacement in Daniel Tice because he does similar things. He's not 25% of Robert Williams, maybe 65%.
That's what I meant.
55 maybe.
65.
Is Daniel Tice half the player of Robert Williams? I
Yeah.
think he's more than half the player of Robert Williams.
At least half. At least half.
He's 65%. Let's call him 65% of Robert Williams.
Okay. I like that.
I think that's fair. 67, 69% of Robert Williams.
No, that's too high.
Okay, fine. 60, 66.
Let's go 64 because we can round down to 60 in case we don't, it doesn't look good.
Okay, fair enough. But it still means that a lot of other guys are going to have to step up. Grant Williams is, I think, going to probably get the starting position in that. I expect Jason Tatum to play some power forward because of that. He's used to it. He played like basically all of last year and the year before as power forward, and he's put on some muscle and bulk, so he should be able to do that. That means Peyton Pritchard's going to get more time. That means Derek White's going to get more time. And that means Aaron Peach Baskets Neesmith, who actually hit some fucking threes in that game in Toronto.
You looked good the other night. Yeah.
When guys get time and they get rhythm, they sometimes look okay.
Even on defense, though, he looked pretty good.
His main factor is defense. He's a nut.
No, he was the best. He was the best shooter in the draft.
My apologies.
It's all right. It's all right.
Yeah, we fell off the rails a little bit on that one. So what's your okay, let's finish. Let's bring it all back to form. Final predictions. Predictions suck, but I don't know. Are you bummed out on this Celtics run? Do you still expect them to make a run here without Robert Williams, or even if they get him back late in this playoff run?
Yeah, I think Eastern Conference Finals should be the main objective for this team still. I don't think that losing Robert Williams is going to be that much of a factor until the Eastern Conference Finals. So hopefully he can come back by then, but I don't think this is going to be that much of a detour for this team.
Yeah, I just think think we have to be careful with where we say the cutoff is, because I think it depends on the team. We've talked about that. Like if because the standings are so wacky. Like if you end up with the Nets in the second round and you lose to them because you don't have Robert Williams, and it just, even if you had Robert Williams and you lost to the Nets because KD and Kyrie go off, they're better. Those guys are better than your players. So I wouldn't give them that much I wouldn't give them too hard of a time. I will if they got blown out, if they got swept by the Nets or something, then yeah, we can shit on them. If they lost a tough series to the Nets or the Bucks, then I'm not going to give them too hard of a time. Whether that's in the second round or the Eastern Conference Finals, I guess that's how I'll play it. But yeah, they should be able to beat every other team, and if they don't, then it's a